Tipster account. This is what I'm talking about. This is how stupid you are. You fell for a fake Tipster account. You're a joke, and nobody believes anything that comes out of your mouth because you literally fell for a fake Tipster account. You loser. Suck my and get the out of here.
Over many years, the online commentary community has seen many people come and go from its space. Countless individuals have risen to the top of the hierarchy, only to either move on to bigger and better projects, or just to completely flounder and flop, becoming incompetent losers who end up being the very people they criticize. And the latest captured in that cycle of incompetence is Tipster, once one of YouTube Drama's most consistent news sources who built a channel of 100,000 subscribers. But nowadays you'll see a man who's far from that in his reputation, and that's pretty much all self-inflicted. From his weird connections with his online goth mummies, to completely turning on his friends and having some of the worst takes, to a fraction of the audience he used to have, Tipster has had a pretty well documented and hilarious fall. However, as someone who's been aware of him for quite a while, many have this misconception that Tipster is just a case of a Discord mod's sudden spiral into delusion. What most don't realise is that Tipster's downfall is just more evidence of his repeating patterns and habits, and it will happen again and again. So let's have a look at his entire career. This is Tipster, commentary's biggest lolcow. Tipster's history stretches far back beyond the story told by so many. In fact, he's been around online since 2006. But unsurprisingly, there's not much that's really been archived from back then. The only thing that I can really find is this video where he talks about cleaning his hard drive.
But I have literally given myself full control of the entire C drive. My account has taken ownership of the entire C drive. I literally have full control of every folder and file on this machine.
Before becoming a big boy drama channel, Tipster spent most of his time talking about video games and retro consoles, inspired by the likes of the angry video game nerd. And later down the line in his retro gaming era, he would actually sign to Screenwave, a multi-channel network that currently owns the AVGN series. From 2016 onwards, Tipster would be regularly covering gaming news and streaming himself playing games as his main bread and butter, and that would be the status quo for the next 3 years. However, he would also dip his toes into YouTube drama. In fact, he was one of the many small streamers rated by Zoe Burger, well known in the YouTube drama sphere for showing herself off on stream for donations.
Holy cow, Zoe, thank you so much for the raid. I sincerely appreciate it. You have no idea. That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Everyone, please,
shout out to Zoe Burger. She was very generous to raid us.
Wait, why is he already subbed to her? As the years rolled by, Tipster would start to become more involved with commentary due to his overlap with the gaming community. In early to mid 2018, he would do interviews with 2 commentary channels that are going to be fairly relevant for this entire story. One of them was Red Fox Coms, later known as Augie RFC, who at the time was a small commentator hosting his own live shows. The interview introduced a lot about Tipster, and it formed a friendship between the two.
I remember the biggest streamer that raided me over on Twitch was actually Boogie2988.
No, wait, you got a Boogie raid?
Yeah, I think the clip is still on my stream. But yeah, that was insane. Like, I didn't expect that. Not only that, but I'm actually a fan of Boogie's. I really like his stuff. But I think it was like 300 people came over from his stream. It's just like, holy crap. It was awesome. And I still, to this day, I still appreciate that.
The other interview was with Tommy C, former co-host of Keemstar's podcast Baited, and current host of his own live show Shot from the Point. Tommy and Tipster went way back to 2016, as Tipster was the first big channel to recognize Tommy before his big break. He also warned him not to join the podcast because he thought Keemstar would f Tommy over, and Tipster supported Tommy through the entire ordeal. It's safe to say they were pretty good friends.
Tipster was there when I got picked up for Baited, before Baited, when Baited fell apart, and he was always, I'm usually the guy everybody leans on, but this is the guy I lean on when I get a little depressed and wonder what the f going on. But I just wanted to thank you right off the friggin' bat, that when, like, this is the guy, this is my psychiatrist. I don't go to you a lot because I'm very mentally strong. I'm a tough guy, not a soy boy. But this is the guy I go to when I'm like, God, man, I can't believe I'm f***ing this up.
And given that after the podcast, Tommy C had a running rivalry with Keemstar, that meant that Tipster also didn't like Keem.
I thought you were gonna say something crazy like, I don't know, like Keemstar or something. Like, oh my god.
Nah, Keem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody who knows me knows I don't like Keen.
But come 2019, and things suddenly change. It all began when aspiring quote-unquote journalist Ian Miles Chong and streamer/coke fiend Andy Warski were getting into a fight over the shared channel that they'd previously made, with Andy accusing Ian of calling in a SWAT team to his house out of retaliation. At the time, Tommy C backed Ian, not believing Andy's story, but he was made to look like an idiot when Ian later admitted that he spotted and tried to kill Andy Warski. So Tommy apologised and owned up to his mistake. Now from Tipster's perspective, this isn't something worth paying attention to. I mean, there's no reason to even get involved with any of these people. Tipster's content is far away from what they cover. But for some reason, Tipster decides to unfollow and distance himself from Tommy, because he made one bad judgment call. Now Tommy is obviously taken aback by this, so he confronts Tipster on Twitter, where Tipster responds by saying, oh, it's an agree to disagree situation between them. But you know, if it was, he wouldn't have unfollowed me on Twitter. Clearly it's deeper than that. So Tipster's just being a dishonest weasel here for no reason. The day after this argument, Tipster starts liking tweets claiming that Tommy is a child molester who pees on kids, and later liked tweets about him being a neglectful father who lets his own kids choke. Tipster would claim that he had never liked those tweets, but that was a bold-faced lie that was easily disproved. A few days later, Tommy goes live, rightfully pissed off, and he sends out a warning.
And I also got to find out who my friends were in this situation when things got a little hairy. Yeah, Tipster, I'm talking to you. If things would ever got really hairy for you, I would have stuck up for you like I did all those other guys. Not again. If you make a major up, I'm gonna bury you, Tipster. Yesterday, he posts agree to disagree. Me and Tommy just had a disagreement. Today, he dances on my grave when I get something wrong.
Tipster then responded to this rant by claiming that Tommy actually didn't help him out in the past, back when he was having troubles, which again seems like a good point if it wasn't a total lie. The next day, Tommy went live exposing his DMs and showing that he was absolutely willing to help Tipster with these issues. And then after this stream, Tipster ran to one of Tommy's friends playing victim, saying that this was all meant to be kept private. So I know what you're thinking. Why did Tipster turn so quickly on Tommy C? Why did Tipster burn the bridge with a friend of 3 years and totally lie over and over again? Well, whilst there's nothing confirmed, it seems pretty obvious why in retrospect. In his stream, Tommy also exposed that Tipster had recently been hooked up with a new multi-channel network thanks to Keemstar, who had helped him deal with his previous issues. And guess who hopped in when Tipster and Tommy were arguing? At Tommy C. That was a thing to do to backstab Tipster gaming like that. Shame on you. And guess what Tipster tweeted after? I'm the one who dick rides at Keemstar, but the same dude who said I dick ride at Keemstar writes tweets like this about at Keemstar.
You want this Keemstar cock.
It's amazing that this is the first big drama that Tipster was in, because it shows him turning on his morals in an instant. He went from #1 Keemstar hater Tommy supporter to the complete opposite, and all because Keemstar helped him in one situation. Tipster acts like allegiances are the closest thing to him, but also turns on them for literally any reason. It's clear here that he saw an opportunity to change teams. Tipster and Tommy's beef would go on back and forth for a few months, with Tipster taking most of the L's. Only a couple of months after their argument, Tipster would be involved in a botched Instagram predator investigation by small YouTubers, and when he wasn't doing that or giving us the latest gaming news, he was responding to videos on him from channels with literally 1 subscriber. But eventually all this would be overshadowed as a much bigger drama came to town, which would unite the entire commentary community. In early 2019, a YouTuber by the name of Suzy Lu was making videos where she blatantly disregards copyright and fair use by reacting to anime. Now, this on its own isn't really an issue because no one wants to snitch on piracy, I respect the hustle. It only becomes an issue when she abuses copyright on others. When small YouTuber Mark After Dark included a clip of her in his video making fun of her, no one would expect that Suzy would use this to completely shut him down, and when she did, it gathered the attention of the commentary community, especially Tipster. Big Tip would start making videos reporting on the situation and what was going on, providing vital information and updates. He would get even more attention after he interviewed a fair use lawyer about the situation, and his upload was suspiciously taken down due to harassment and bullying, despite the fact that his video barely contained any of that. All eyes went to Suzy, who would later call into an edition of AugieRFC's RFC After Hours and show a flagging history. And although it wasn't confirmed that she led to Tipster's video being taken down, it was incredibly likely after she was spotted flagging down videos talking about her situation. Tipster's reputation went up more and more as he covered Suzy Lu, making tons of videos reporting on what was happening and leading the charge against her and the harmful standards she was setting. But even during his big break, there were still problems. As Tipster moved towards commentary, he drifted away from the retro gaming community and the people he had talked to there, and he wouldn't leave particularly peacefully. One of his most vocal critics around this time was Smash JT, a relatively small YouTuber that had been friends with Tipster for quite a while. They struck a friendship in 2018 over their troubles with Screenwave, and when Smash JT made a video calling out a retro game console, Tipster would have Smash on his stream for an interview.
Holy sh**. My boy Smash JT threw down the mother gauntlet. He said, yo, looks like a scam and your PR department sucks. Here's your chance to communicate in a professional manner if you choose to. Holy, that was awesome. I don't believe he targeted. I watched this guy's content. I'm a fan of Smash JT.
Smash returned the favor in early 2019 when Tipster's entire channel was claimed over the music he used for his intro, and he was one of the first people to speak out for him. But things changed in 2020 when Tipster started having someone on his stream by the name of DestinyFOMO, another member of the retro gaming community who had recently come in as a rising star. However, what contributed to her meteoric rise may have had more to do with her looks than a gaming analysis, especially considering she also had an OnlyFans, and other retro gaming YouTubers were very critical of her because of that. One of them was a small creator by the name of Overthink Gaming, who made a video on her in late 2019 where he talks about those points. DestinyFOMO would respond by filing a false copyright strike. It was at this point when Tipster got involved as a neutral party, which was weird for some that the guy leading a crusade on Suzy Lu for false copyright strikes was taking such a middle-of-the-road stance here. But DestinyFOMO did have some legitimate concerns. She reasoned that she filed the copyright strike because people in the comments of that video were trying to gather her personal information. Tipster eventually negotiated a deal between the two where Overthink Gaming would remove all the personal information comments if she retracted the strike. So, situation solved, peace in the world, and Tipster's career never falls off. Well, until DestinyFOMO starts getting criticism on her comments because of Overthink Gaming's video. So she DMs him, blaming him for the hate comments and threatening legal action against him. This progression finally prompted Tipster to make a video calling out DestinyFOMO, and in fairness, Tipster's video is rightfully critical of her and what she's done. However, his video does still reel back in some places and has some praise for her because Tipster enjoys her content.
We're going to be talking about a YouTuber known as DestinyFOMO. Now, this is a creator that I actually really enjoy their videos. I've watched their videos from time to time, and sometimes I do enjoy videos on her channel.
I do occasionally watch her channel, and I enjoy some of the stuff that she puts out. Something's going on here, because I do enjoy DestinyFOMO's content. The way I want to sum this up before I wrap up this video is that DestinyFOMO,
to this day, I still really enjoy your content.
Now let's fast forward a couple of months into 2020, and Tipster is now openly affiliating and being friends with DestinyFOMO, bringing her onto the streams and defending her from people on Twitter.
By the way, welcome to the stream. Somebody was asking me about you the other day. It was funny. They were talking about you to me, and I was just like, yeah, she's the homie. And then they shut the up. It's funny how that works, how you got these like scumbags that'll just talk shit about someone, and it's like, yeah, I'm cool with her, and then they just shut up. Welcome to the stream, Destiny. How you doing?
This would all be fine, except for the fact that Tipster is defending her from yet more accusations where she threatened another copyright strike on another smaller YouTuber. This time, DMs were again shown, and although there isn't a direct threat made here, the implication looks pretty obvious, along with the fact that she does have a prior history of issuing false copyright strikes. Tipster, however, was dismissive of all this and never really questioned it. His big gotcha was that at the end of the conversation, DestinyFOMO and the smaller creator deleted all the messages on Instagram, which, considering that she's trying to supposedly blackmail and threaten the small creator, I kinda see why he would have deleted them. Additionally, DestinyFOMO didn't come out to defend herself, it was Tipster who came out and defended her on her behalf. So essentially, Tipster died on the hill to defend a known false copyright abuser over more accusations of false copyright threats, instead of again mediation or being the neutral party, Tipster flung himself into the crossfire for whatever reason. When Smash JT started making videos on DestinyFOMO saying she was the next Suzy Lu, Tipster jumped to her defense whilst in the Discord. Dear God, hey Tipster, look what Smash JT posted. At Travis, talking to DestinyFOMO right now. Okay, good. This is why I distanced myself from Smash JT. Dude legit took it from criticism to legit harassment. This is the Suzy Lu guy, by the way. The guy who was accused of being a harasser by Suzy Lu. She has a much better case against Tipster than DestinyFOMO would have against Smash JT. Now in fairness, this isn't like an entirely forgotten story that people got wrong in the past, because Smash JT and his friends were unhinged. They constantly said dumb shit to they never really helped themselves, and Smash JT would go on to hop in DMs with literal doxers over drama with Tipster. This guy is nuts, and I don't blame anyone for being against him. It's just that at the core of this all, Tipster was wrong, and his entire involvement was getting pissy that people call him an unfaithful guy who sims for and defends DestinyFOMO.
He claims that I've got something going on with DestinyFOMO that my wife should probably be concerned about. And he says that I've done this before with other girls.
So I think that aspect is just worth keeping in the back of your mind as we move along.
Maybe there are some people who will give special treatment to female content creators in hopes that they're going to get their dick wet. I'm not one of those creators, so you could just get that bullshit out of your head. First of all, I'm a happily married man. And that's just the stupidest thing that I've ever heard.
The fame from Tipster's coverage of Suzy Lu was the springboard to launch him and his career into widespread success, and with him consistently covering drama in a year where drama was rampant and hectic, it was a match made in heaven for his channel. By mid-2021, he'd become a solidified member of the commentary community, and could be seen pulling numbers as high as 2,000 concurrent viewers on his streams. And it's within this time that he also gained a bit of a reputation as a meme. Tipster has never really been a young buck, he's in his mid-30s, and as a result his boomer mannerisms carried over to his online career, often through his tweets which he posted a lot. He'd overuse words like lol, the fuck, and would often at people in his tweets for, attention. Tipster would also overuse hashtags in his tweets, even putting them in places where they maybe shouldn't be.
Dude, no, deadass, the funniest thing Tipster ever tweeted, and this is like a month ago. This sounds so bad. Do you remember when Brittany Venti got touched by that one guy in the subway?
Oh yeah!
Tipster tweeted about it. He was like, breaking hashtag Tipster news! Brittany Venti got touched in the subway. I was like, why did you tweet? Why did you put Tipster news in here?
His mom just got railed. What the fuck?
Tipster would also regularly interact with the fans of the commentary community via Twitter, and thus got a reputation for constantly being involved or mentioned in small commentary drama.
How is Tipster involved in every one of these stupid YouTubers? He's like, Tipster asked me a question. Why the dude, Tipster was back on Twitter for 30 seconds, and he's arguing with 3 5-follower accounts. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop it. Get some help. Just like, shut the I don't care about your friendship.
Bro, this was Tipster's best friend you're talking about, right?
Everybody's Tipster's best friend, okay? Chill with that one, dude. Did she lose the homies role after she got exposed?
Yeah. Dude, she got banned from the Discord.
Tipster loses a best friend once every 6 hours on Twitter.
Dude, Tipster reading the allegations.
The fuck? Wow. Hashtag Tipster news.
But if there's anything that Tipster's known for, it's not his content, it's his public and lustful affinity for women. Tipster, again a man past his 30s, who's been married for years, was regularly seen on the timeline begging for that mommy cream. Oops, you liked my tweet. Guess we did it again, you dirty little lol. You're not an e-girl, you're an e-whore, and you're my e-whore, not at Omegons. Tipster assaulted me in the butt, allegedly. No allegedly here, I did it, and you liked it. I need the Dickster, sorry, only the wife gets that. I know you want to see me naked. Bro, you're literally streaming right now. What can I say, there just ain't enough time in the day for all this poon. Lick emoji. No Nut November is for losers who can't get laid. F that, I be cooming all month, no cap. You've been a bad girl. Cause I get chicks and you don't. Stay mad, virgin. LOL. Most of the heads crying about it in my comments and mentions are either incels or wine moms that ain't been since the dark ages. These motherfuckers need to get some. They're clearly sexually deprived. Hey Nick, when you pee, do you still pee standing up and you just have to kind of push against your fat to make your dick pop out kind of like a push-up pop? Or is your level of fatness to the point that you have to sit down? I'm not reading the rest of that. It's not my fault that the ladies want the tip. I'm starting to think Omegon has a crush on me. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. LOL. Do not take him away from me. I can't promise that. Not after you did to me. Hotness must have more goth mommies. Smash your pass. Be honest. LOL. I still get more action than you. Ladies love the jiggly jiggly. I like being sexually harassed, but I'm fat, so it never happens. Hashtag feels bad, man. LOL. Certified down bad. LOL. Side note, he do be spitting facts though. LOL. You got that top energy? LOL. The Tipster snapback stays on during sex. Okay, never mind. That last one, real as However, not all crusty tweets are made equal. Here's one of his worst and most infamous tweets, made on the 25th of September 2019, when a girl by the name of Delusia tweeted out, "Thank God I'm a lesbian." Tipster replied by saying, "Why do all the hot ones not like dick? Hashtag feels bad man, lol." Weird comment to go off with, and to make things worse, Delusia was 17 when she made a tweet. Tipster was again in his 30s. At the time, Tipster would gladly embrace his new Kuma reputation as a meme, making more tweets and going on to commission art of himself as a woman for merch. You got Titty Tipster backpacks, snapbacks, t-shirts, posters, all still available to buy. This, along with all the added memes, led to Tipster starting to get parody accounts of his such as Banished Germo, replicating Tipster's at Banished Journo. This usually wouldn't be worth noting if the person who ran the parody account didn't replicate Tipster's tweeting style one-to-one. I mean, it takes talent to be as accurate as this was.
Listen, I know me and Vito Just Baldy have had our differences, but I'm willing to put them past and move on. I've come to realize he's arguing about pedophilia.
Okay.
Good one.
That's it. I'm flagging that account. I'm just kidding.
Tipster,
I'm just
Tipster,
kidding.
you're not high.
Kidding.
He's saying that there's a more to it than black and white perspective on pedophiles. It's very similar to what I've been
I hate this account so much more now. Jesus. I hate this account so much more now.
Oh my lord. Oh, that's good. Yes, I'm married. And no, just because I DM e-girls and send for them doesn't mean that I'm going to get a divorce. It's just a meme, and you have to have every brain rot to see it any other way. Tipster out.
Wait, you see the TikToks? Oh my god, the TikTok.
Dude,
when one of my e-whores sends me nudes now to see if my wife is
But once the memes were rolling on Twitter, Tipster was taking L after L when he got into fights with other YouTubers. It turns out that when hits the fan, Tipster cannot handle the heat on his own. In November 2021, the commentary community erupted into fighting after a video made by the YouTuber Technicals, which was made to seemingly vindicate Zero, one of the most well-known Smash players and creators who was run off the internet after multiple allegations of grooming and pedophilia. During this divide, one of the creators who expressed the distaste of Tipster and his friends was Oki's Weird Stories, a documentary YouTuber. Tipster acted all tough guy on Twitter, saying, "Yo Oki, since you no longer have me blocked, you wanna explain to me why you spread literally lies about me last night? Why'd you delete this tweet, bro? Seems like you have a lot to say, Oki. How about you come on my show and we can have a little chat? Sure, why not? I'll be streaming Monday evening. Feel free to stop by. I'll most likely be streaming a live interview tomorrow evening. I'll see what I can do though. What about today in a couple hours? That work for you? Sure thing, let me know."
We're here to talk about, like, because I made a tweet saying that I hate you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, you know, what's the deal. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, honestly, but I'm just trying to understand it.
I was just really annoyed at the commentary community in general for how they have, it seems to be like a repeated history of eating their own and throwing people under the bus in the way that they do.
Now I'm going to come out here and say that Oki's point is dumb. If the commentary community holds their peers to criticism, they're labelled as eating their own. If the community overlooks its criticism and stays out of it, they're labelled as shielding their friends. There is no winning when you make sweeping statements like this. But Tipster still lost this debate because instead of rationality, he had this lame emotional outburst. He pulls up his DMs with Oki on stream where Oki was previously being nice to him as a sort of gotcha because Oki called him a bottom feeder, and without even addressing Oki's points, he kicks him from the call like a pussy.
Yeah, let me explain.
You're a disingenuous piece of you know that?
Why are you getting excited? Can you just settle down?
Because you're a dishonest hack, and quite frankly,
okay.
I'm not interested in even continuing this conversation with you anymore, because you're over here talking like I regularly, throw shade at you or something, when I've never even interacted with you, at least since this engagement that I'm showing on the screen here.
Are you done yet? Or can I?
Yeah,
can I
we are done. Get the out. Stupid bitch.
That was fun. Lol. Yeah, screaming and then kicking me was a total own. Hopefully you don't edit the talk when you post on your clips channel to make yourself look like less of a spurg. The month after, Tipster would take yet another L, this time against Mama Max. And listen, okay, I know Mama Max sucks, but you gotta see this to believe it. Tipster's response is just pathetic. During this time, Max was at the head of his most recent campaign for attention, that being his hashtag #PickAsideYouTube, and Tipster initially emerged as a critic of the situation. He came on heavy and dropped a thread full of good critiques, causing attention from Mama Max to go his way. The two were poised for a public conversation, which as we've seen goes great for Tipster. But instead of publicly screaming like a moron and hanging up like he did with Oki, Tipster decided to scream like a moron in DMs. I'm not trying to get on your ass, I'm sorry if it comes out that way, I'm simply asking why. It's enough for our mutuals to think you're trying to ruin my reputation, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. You're accusing me of being dishonest when nothing I've said was based on what you told me. You are mutual. I don't give a f about your mutuals. This is a conversation between you and me. I mean, you've accused me of being dishonest when everyone in the group chats knew exactly what I was asking for, save for like 1 or 2 people who did not speak up to me, but did to you. Because I believe you are being dishonest. If that hurts your feelings, then I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about this. You believe I'm being dishonest when 1 or 2 out of 30 people blindly accepted a collaboration? Now here's something very interesting, we're going to see this a bit later on, something I call tippy tunnel vision. Can we get like a visual tippy tunnel vision? This is basically Tipster's debate tactics. If he's asked a question he can't answer, he deflects and tries to move on to another topic. So Tipster has his tippy tunnel vision, he doesn't answer the question and says, you know what, screw the interview, I'm not interested. And don't worry, I'm not covering this story on my show. By the time I recover from this sickness, it will be old news anyways. Have a nice day. Bro, Tipster, calm down, bro, it's alright, and it ain't anything huge, just wait to keep your complaints for the public conversation. The interview with Mama Max is cancelled. While I've had my own opinions on the situation and stand by them, I've been nothing but fair to him. But according to him, I'm being dishonest, when everything I've said is based on what he himself told me. I'm too sick for this. Good luck burning on the platform with your little hashtag, Max. I'm out. I'm still down to the interview if he wants me back on. Not interested. Goodbye. And then, a couple of hours later, Tipster deactivated his Twitter and later conceded to Mama Max, giving him an apology. My sincere apologies for my fresh behaviour. I still stand by my opinions on your video, but I still could have kept a more level head during our previous interactions. In any case, I wish you nothing but the best. I disagree with your methods, but we can agree to disagree on that. In any case, take care. Ah, the classic Tipster agree to disagree message. We love that here. In January 2022, Technicals would release a video concerning his complaints and arguments with the commentary community, and among those mentioned was Tipster. Technicals criticised Tipster for a number of things, but most notably said this, which as you'll see will age like a fine wine.
Mostly because Tipster is a pussy, but also because YouTube is the only thing he has, and he doesn't want to alienate himself from his friends. But mostly it's because he's a pussy.
This was followed by a short segment where he makes fun of Tipster's news format and his cringy tweets.
Hey guys, Dixter here, and before I deactivate my Twitter account after another emotional breakdown, my wife doesn't like it when you guys point out I'm flirting with girls online. So I'd appreciate it if you'd stop it. Entertainment? Research? That I'm Dixter. I'm about to hit this algorithm right quick.
But for the tip, this was too far. No one messes with his wife or Hannah Animal, his favourite Discord e-girl. Dragging a friend of mine into this who has nothing to do with it to try and get an own on me, it's just sad, bro. My brother in Christ, even Hannah Animal does not care about the joke. Tipster attacked Technicals and again had this weird emotional outburst for what was essentially a light jab and a joke in the same sense that Tipster's friends would make towards him. Again, Technicals put it best. Your wife and friend weren't even insulted, it's just you. You even change your name and profile picture to Dixter because you have zero self-confidence, just like when you change your name to Burger Neck. Go boot up another lie and cry about this tweet. Now, I just think you're a loser, and I'd rather block you before you got the wrong idea and started sucking me off and changing your profile picture to me again. You can go ahead and block me. Just in case my previous tweet is lacking any nuance, you need a therapist, not a ride or die e-girl. I tell you to be more careful with info in the future, but I know that isn't going to happen. After the Technicals video, Tipster would begin to drift away from the commentary community because he really was beaten that hard, and he decided to take down all of his old videos, gearing more towards variety streaming and playing games. And let me tell you, these streams are fire.
Would you ever pose for a fetish site? I would imagine someone out there has a fat fetish. No, never. Nope. I'll admit it, I'm very insecure about my body, so like absolutely not. I mean, I don't understand why my wife likes to see me naked. I don't like looking at myself naked, so like, I don't know why my wife likes to see me naked.
But again, this guy's playing the whole fence-sitting game, because whilst he said in words that he was leaving the commentary community, he was still engaging in drama with other content creators like BX Bullet, John Swan, Lyrics, all these people, and in the following days, he would drop even lower. On May 12th, 2022, Tipster posted this tweet about Amaranth announcing she was leaving OnlyFans, but if you look closely at the screenshot, it says the video was made 1 minute ago and he's watched around 30 seconds of it. So, it seems like Tipster's a bit of an Amaranth simp, and many people noticed to make fun of him. Of course, at the time, this was all just jokes and fun, no one took this serious, and I mean the screenshot shows he wasn't even subscribed to her, so he probably got it from someone else, right? Well, not exactly, because Tipster took all these jokes to heart. He started unfollowing and blocking people who he had been friends with for years over these tweets, and responded with anime villain gifs. Unfollow a few people, and everyone starts coping. Rent-free. Twitter feed looking less cancer at the moment. Kinda wish I did this sooner. Why does everyone who f***ed with me lately end up getting f***ed over twice as hard? I guess karma really is a f***ing bitch.
I am 37 years old.
And then everyone clowned on him even more for actually taking this seriously, and so he went on his sad boy arc. Stepping away from the net for a bit. Don't know when I'll be back, but right now my mental health is more important, and I need to focus on that more than anything. I'll be back when the time is right. In the meantime, take care, and know that I love you all. See you soon. And then he deactivated his Twitter account again. Let me be clear, this is over people making jokes about a screenshot of Amaranth. Really? This guy's like 35 years old, and he's tweeting like he's 15. The tip had gone from a strong height in 2021, with respect and jokes and memes, to being a shrinking version of his former self, losing subs, losing views, losing respect. But sadly for him, this was only the beginning of the end, and so much more would start to be revealed. So, what we've learned from the previous section is that Tipster is subject to a lot of jokes, most of which he brings onto himself and plays into. But considering that he genuinely took the Amaranth meme seriously, it starts to bring into question the line between joke and reality. Is the meme real? Is Tipster really this flirtatious guy online who talks to his goth mummies? And what does that say about him, a married man? One of the people who was there to bring up questions was Doejenggles, who is a small content creator in her own right, but she's more well known for being the girlfriend of Mudaha, or Some Ordinary Gamers. Doe would start to put out tweets making fun of Tipster and his virtual e-girl harem, saying, "All of Tipster's insane e-whores should have a deathmatch in a coliseum. Winner gets to sniff his taint, provided they can locate it." Tipster would hit back by saying, "You seem salty that you're not one of them. Sorry, but I don't bother with pick-me girls." Doe then said, "Nah, just pick my people better, not married and not obese." By the way, Lardas has been trying for the last 4 years. Follows me on Twitter every week and blocks because I don't follow back. Goes around searching for people on Facebook. Everyone who buys the teddy bear thing is dumb AF. Tipster hit back by saying, "Seems you got kinda mad about my little tweet. Meanwhile, you've been tweeting about me for months and I haven't said a peep until now. Also, I go around searching for people on Facebook? What the f*** are you talking about?" In the following tweets, Mudaha would chime in to defend his girl, to which Tipster hit back before Doe accused him of repeatedly following and unfollowing her in an attempt to become Twitter friends with her, an experience that Mudaha later supported.
No, the whole context was he kept trying to like keep messaging my girlfriend and keep getting on her good side, and she obviously doesn't want anything to do with it. That's it.
Wait,
That's how it went.
DMs are publicly.
Trying to publicly get back in a following like good grace. She doesn't want any attention from him, and that's it. Done.
This interaction would lead to Doejenggles and Tipster confronting each other on AugierFC's stream on May 30th, 2022, in which she alleges that Tipster's behaviour around his e-harem is only the latest in a long pattern of concerning behaviour. Alongside the claim that Tipster was constantly following and unfollowing her back to become Twitter friends, she also claims that he was doing that 4 years ago when she was in a VC with commentary YouTuber Colossus Crazy. Doe also claims that back in the day, Tipster tried to contact Paige the Panda by tracking down her personal Facebook and sending friend requests. Just to remind you, Paige the Panda is the girl who was groomed by Linemaker. Tipster denies that he was trying to follow and unfollow Doejenggles, stating that he didn't even know who she was 4 years ago. He also states that he did send a friend request to Paige the Panda's personal Facebook, but they had been in contact prior and his intentions were just to get back in touch, not to be weird. He later apologized if he came off creepy.
Here's what I'll say, okay? If I had ever done anything that made her feel uncomfortable, or anyone for that matter, I sincerely apologize, because that was never my intention whatsoever. I don't know if that means anything to her or anything, and that's fine. You know, however she feels about it, she feels about it. But I have never done anything to try and make anyone feel uncomfortable. And I sincerely apologize. If you're telling me the truth and you're saying she was uncomfortable, I apologize for that.
Though this admission makes Tipster look kind of weird, he actually came out of the debate looking better to most of the audience watching. This was because even though Doe had got him to concede on one of his points, she didn't provide much evidence to say that Tipster was a creep towards her. And also I guess they found her annoying and it was like she was blowing up tweets into a whole beef. But only a day later, Doe's comments would become prophetic.
I think Tipster's just, he's just a nice dude. Like, I've never gotten any weird energy from him, but...
I'm just saying, because if at any point this had happened and there are all these sexually charged messages, I mean, now is the time to come forward, you know?
On the 31st of May 2022, APover9k, a former friend of Tipster's, dumped the DMs between herself and Tipster on Twitter. They included pages of messages, some of which were crusty as fuck. Sat down in my office chair this morning, and my pants split in the ass. Had to rush home and change. Lol. That's awesome. No, it wasn't. Lol. Just that selfie from this morning where I said I was going to bed. And because I'm blurry face, I don't fucking know, lol. It's actually pretty easy to hurt my feelings. I thought you looked great in that photo, to be honest. Goth mom, you could get it. Lol. I don't give this to many people, but if you ever need to talk, don't hesitate to call or text me. I'm a busy guy, so I may not respond immediately, but I will respond. Gotcha, thank you. Anything for pink head, hot goth mommy. Lamau JK, notice the new profile picture. Not gonna lie, looking kinda hot in hot pink. Thanks lol, I love it. Yeah, it looks good. Even hotter goth mommy, haha. New profile picture is even better, homie. You a hot goth, haha. Bro, I fried my hair earlier and cut it off. What? Nice, looks great. Also, your friend is kinda cute, huh? Hey yo, she's 16. Oof, I was only joking, can't actually see with the things in the way, but I guess I kinda set myself up for that one. Sorry, lol. But hold on, let's take a step back. How do we get here? Who is APover9k? Well, she was a publicly known friend of Tipster's who had begun regularly appearing on his streams over the last few months. Tipster and AP were fairly close friends. Even after that one time she was live on VC and called her DoorDash driver the N-word.
To be nice, like, oh, my mom's hot. Like, I don't think that's weird. Wait,
did you say that N-word?
Okay. Yeah, you gotta.
This is not weird
Sorry.
at all.
Okay,
AP,
yeah,
bro,
that's
see,
not
this is
okay.
what I'm fucking
That's
talking
not
about.
okay. Well, that's why she got removed from the call, because it's not okay.
Get the f out of here.
During Tipster's commentary videos purge, Boblax made a comment on it saying it was a bit extreme, and him and Tipster had a bit of a back and forth. Although it wasn't heated at all, more of just a discussion. Then Tipster deactivates his account again after these milquetoast tweets, and AP jumps in defending Tipster like it's tag team wrestling. This all leads to a live debate between AP and Boblax, where she shows up drunk as balls, and the debate goes so bad for her that Tipster just deletes the server they're in.
Have you checked yourself for full-blown retardation? Like,
Yes, I'm diagnosed with autism.
God.
I have all the files to prove it.
Yeah, I know. That's Augie and Boblax. It's so fucking funny.
Okay, let's get serious again, though. Let's get serious.
What's going on?
Let's get super serial, guys. Okay.
Are you good?
Are you drunk? Do you have a little too much red wine? Oh, I'm kicked from the server. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, did Tipster Tipster deleted the server?
After this, AP claims that Tipster put her into this debate without telling her she was live, which caused a rift between the two. Eventually, AP turned on Tipster, and Tipster did the usual sad anime gif response. Sometimes I wonder why I even bother being a loyal friend to people who clearly don't deserve it, because when it comes time to return the favour, I always get clipped to the curb. I'm too kind for my own good. So fast forward to AP dropping all of her DMs with Tipster. What exactly is in these leaks? Apart from the cringy DMs, there isn't really anything damning against Tipster here, but he just looks pathetic, or a victim stuck between two groups of people. In these DMs, he's constantly being pushed around and insulted by AP. It's clear she was not a good friend to him. But you see this, and you have to question, why wouldn't Tipster talk to the people he's been friends with for years, like Boblax, Nick and Augie, or for sake, his wife. Instead, he confided all this in a girl who he met over TikTok a couple of months ago and started flirting with whilst he's already married. And why do these commentary nobodies get to him so easily? Tipster would respond to the leaks on the same day, saying, "Yes, I've seen the leaks. I was nothing but supportive of her when she was in need of a friend. And even when we had our falling out, I kept my feelings on the matter to myself out of respect for her privacy." Wait, Tipster, that's a lie. You literally made a tweet being like, with the anime sad gif about like your friendship breaking up. That's a lie, you lied. Tipster lied. We were just two friends, supporting one another, sharing jokes with one another, talked about our families with one another, and we would be there for each other in times of need. It's a shame that things happened the way they did, but it is what it is. My conscience is clean.
Well, you're a married guy, right? This can't be easy to hear all the time.
I mean, yeah, I'm a married dude, and happily married. By the way, everybody's speculating on the state of my marriage. It's fine. Everybody seems to think I'm going to get a divorce or whatever because of this. But no, like, everything's fine. I talked to my wife about this, the day that it happened, and then, like, this morning, and she was just like, who cares? Because, like, she watches my streams, and we make jokes and comments like this on the air, and she sees it, and she doesn't care. No, it's not.
She's in on it. She's right there with me. That's what a good relationship is. But that's a context that no one can have.
we're the type of couple that we can be scrolling through Instagram pictures and I'd be like, yo, that chick's pretty hot, huh? And she's like, yeah. And then like she does the same thing with dudes or whatever. So it's like, that's just how our relationship is.
Even though there was some funny stuff in AP's leaks, people were on Tipster's side because he'd essentially been backstabbed and his friends sided with him. He treated AP so nicely in DMs, only for her to publish them online. This is probably the first time in his career that Tipster was actually a victim who got f***ed over, and thankfully this will be the springboard for him to re-enter the commentary community, but the drama was far from over. Now, at this time, Tipster was talking a lot about his mental health, and later on he was preaching about how the commentary scene impacted his mental health. He's the one who holds it fairly high, takes it fairly seriously, and you wouldn't expect Tipster to be embroiled in any controversy where he seriously mishandles someone's mental health. But that was exactly what happened. During late 2022, Tipster got involved in a controversy with another small commentator by the name of Colton. Colton is a guy who has often struggled with his mental health. In March 2022, he attempted to take his own life, but thankfully survived due to him previously contacting Hannah Animal, one of the many e-girls who were friends with Tipster. Hannah would call a wellness check and Colton's life would be saved. Fast forward to November 2022, and Colton has now recently been in an e-relationship with a girl by the name of Bonnie. However, it was in November where she accused him of a number of heinous actions. One of these was Colton apparently being creepy and pushy when they interacted sexually, which was almost immediately rescinded after she was questioned on it, and the other is an accusation that one night Colton apparently faked a suicide attempt with her by swallowing a bunch of pills. Colton testified by saying, "In October, I was struggling with a dependence on sleeping pills introduced me by an early relationship. One night I told my future accuser I took some because I was depressed and wanted to get high as she was with another drug, but the meds were what I had on hand. I attempted giving benefit of the doubt on this claim of miscommunication because I don't have a good memory, especially when I'd get high, and I likely phrase it in a terrible way, also due to my altered state of mind. This individual insisted, however, that she knew for a fact that I was trying to make her think I was suicidal, despite the fact that she had no knowledge of my past attempts and that we watched movies and hung out for hours after." So where does Tipster come into this small commentary drama? When making her allegations, Bonnie said to Colton that she believed Colton was suicide baiting because a bigger influencer had told her he had a history of suicide baiting. Colton's immediate assumption was Tipster, because as we know, Tipster has an innate desire to get involved into drama with literal nobodies. So on November 9th, Colton asks Tipster, "That isn't baiting though. I regret doing that, but obviously a suicidal person will be upset when their plans are interrupted. I mean, it depends. If you didn't actually intend to do it, it's baiting. I know of at least 2 girls you've done this to, and now I'm guessing a third is accusing of the same. Dog, lol. Did no one teach you how to court women? Because saying you're going to game in Minecraft ain't it, dog." This of course coming from Tipster, the guy who goes on Twitter every day and asks random e-girls if they want the tip. Who else did I do that to? By the way, I never faked it. I was always struggling with that. So I'm not gonna say because I ain't throwing no one under the bus. I'm just saying I've heard it personally from 2 girls who have no relationship with each other, and now you're asking me about this with a 3rd girl? Bro, lol. The following day, Bonnie published her accusations to Twitter, and Tipster once again said the same stuff, adding that Colton was acting way too paranoid by suspecting him. I'm staying out of it. I don't cover sub-community drama anyways. Well, I'll just say good luck dealing with her. She's a borderline sexual predator who's trying to twist it against me, and I really hope you weren't the one in the DMs saying those things about me. Dude, you're way too paranoid. I'm sorry if you aren't that person. I'm just freaking the out right now because people actually believed I wronged her in some way. I'd never do that to a girl, and I feel so sick about it. I don't know about everything she's saying, but the things she does show receipts for look pretty bad. Yeah, because she's cutting the parts where I f***ing dismantle the points. She's editing it so it makes it look better. It's sickening. I'm just gonna stay out of it. As I said before, I don't do this sub-community shit anyways. In the next couple of hours, Colton found out that Tipster had Bonnie as one of his chat mods for his streams, and after that managed to obtain leaks of Tipster's DMs with Bonnie, and well, take a look. Bro, Colton called me on Discord saying how he's high and depressed and sad, and took a bunch of sleeping pills, SMH lol. I tried screen recording, but I just realized screen recording doesn't pick up Discord audio. I told you he does that kind of shit. And if you call in a wellness check, he's going to harass you forever like he does everyone else who has done that. You said this? Now, after being caught completely gaslighting and being a total piece of shit, Tipster was confronted, and instead of like a meaningful apology, he just completely doubles down. I understand if you're upset, and that's valid, I own that, but I wasn't going to let you do that to another one of my friends. You had already done it to 2 of my friends before, and I didn't want it to happen again. As long as you know that you completely your credibility by gaslighting me. Not really, but okay, lol. So you didn't call me paranoid and pretend like you didn't know who she was when you were saying those things about me? You acted as if I was crazy for thinking you did it, then you admitted it. That's gaslighting. You're just pissed because I was right about what I told her, and now everyone knows you have a pattern of doing this shit. You're not a kid anymore. Now grow some balls and own up to your shit. I'm not here to baby you, I'm here to give it to you real. You have some serious issues that you need to work on. You're right, I'm not a kid anymore, yet you're bringing up situations from when I was 17. If you weren't here to baby me and give it to me real, you wouldn't have lied and gaslighted me. I did nothing wrong to Bonnie, and you're enabling this delusional victim complex she has. If I'm not a kid anymore, why bring up situations from when I was? How long do I have to be changed until this is no longer relevant? Because you're still that person, Colton. Prove it, because what Bonnie had was me getting high. I warned her, and then less than a week after I warned her, you did it to her too. That isn't suicide baiting. Maybe some people buy that bullshit, but I don't. You're delusional too then. To think saying I took sleeping pills to get high is suicide baiting. I made that abundantly clear to her, so it isn't miscommunication, she's outright lying. Oh, I'm depressed, I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now. Off with that bullshit, dude. Then why would we remain on call to hang out for hours immediately after? I tried to kill myself, then immediately watch movies with her and talk for hours? Make it make sense. This is all besides the point that you absolutely did gaslight me, by the way. I've owned up to everything I've done wrong. She hasn't, and neither of you. And here we got Tippy Tunnel Vision kicking in, Tipster can't answer the question, so he just deflects. Look, I ain't got time for your bullshit. If you can't own up for the fact that you still are a suicide baiter, then you're on your own. I'm not going to waste my time with someone who clearly can't see the error in their ways. I wish you nothing but the best, but I'm out. Peace. Tipster's source for this, by the way, is just random people telling him that Colton has baited before. The only two instances we actually have proof of and know of, one time he actually attempted, and the other time it's pretty obvious that the intention wasn't suicide. But Tipster has no remorse, and in fact it wouldn't be until April 2023 when he finally apologised to Colton, of course with his apology being buried near the end of a 4-hour livestream. But back in Christmas Eve 2022, when all this been publicly posted, these small parts of the commentary community were now even more aware of how much of a piece of shit the Tipster was. His response? Well, another blocking spray. So, it's been a while, let's check up on AP, Tipster's favourite e-girl, wine mom, goth mommy. What's up with her, where is she at? Well, the actual reason she posted DMs at Tipster after his debate with Doejenggles is because Craig Beckett, another small commentary YouTuber who hated Tipster, would advise her to release the DMs. But after Craig was exposed for DMing and sexting a 17-year-old girl whilst he was 27 by Tipster, Tipster and AP were able to rekindle their friendship. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can you ever trust someone who leaked your entire DMs to the public and humiliated you, Tipster? And don't worry, because everyone else told Tipster the exact same thing. But alas, Tipster did not listen. Predictably, this would blow up in Tipster's face a few months later, when APover9k was caught forcing her kid to call someone the N-word on Discord.
Actually, you know what? No, keep me in the call. 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 Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. What? I need you to say one thing. Hold on, everyone shut up! Say Spondyle is a fucking...
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
Spondyle's a...
No. That was the only thing to get my phone back. I did it.
Okay. Yeah, call CPS. That's funny, because a lot of people have tried, but it doesn't work, does it?
Now, the guy who exposes this to the public, a commentary orbiter by the name of DJ Screwdriver, puts up a thread with the evidence, alternatively referring to AP as Tipster's goth mommy friend. Tipster had an issue with this for some reason, and instead of going for a private resolution or ignoring it, instead he decided to block DJ Screwdriver. But why did he have an issue with this thread? I mean, AP is only known by most people in the community as Tipster's friend from the whole goth mommy thing. That kinda makes sense to say. Well, according to Tipster, it's dumb that I'm expected to respond to allegations that have all to do with me. I'm not their handler. This is both a lie and just wrong. First of all, DJ Screwdriver never said that Tipster had to respond to any of this until he was blocked. But again, Tipster has this impulse to respond to literally everything that's attached to him. And even if they did ask for Tipster's response, I totally understand why. AP's whole history revolves around Tipster's. Nearly everything she's done online involves Tipster. She's known as his co-host and friend, she used to be a fan of his, he would put her on streams, he gave her his phone number, and even after she leaked their DMs, he was still her friend. He even started the goth mommy meme because of her. It makes sense that DJ would mention Tipster to give context, but of course Tipster can't see the reasoning past his roles. Tipster decided to go even further, because of course he can't let things be, and he called into DJ Screwdriver's Twitter space, subsequently making himself look like an idiot.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah. Hey, Tipster.
Yo, you want to know why you got blocked?
Why did I get blocked, Tipster?
Because you're making it like you're trying really hard to associate with me with a situation that I had nothing to do with. What does this have to do with me? Yes, you did something stupid, and the whole time you're naming me and your stupid thread as if I have something to do with it. I have nothing to do with what AP did. I'm not AP's handler, and I don't understand why like I have to explain the way I feel about it when I'm not the one who did it. I'm not accountable for her actions.
Did I say you were?
No, but like, what do you think is the point of like mentioning me in the thread? Like, what's the point of that? I did something stupid that we can all agree is wrong, but what the do I have to do with that?
You're her friends, and that's how people know her.
So what? So we're doing guilt by association then? That's fucking
That's
bullshit.
that's not guilt by association.
No,
that's just
literally
association.
guilt by association.
That's
You're
just
literally
association.
saying she's your friend, so you have to explain how you feel about it.
I
That's
didn't say
fucking
that.
retarded.
I didn't say that though. I just said she was her friend.
So what was the point of mentioning me in it then? What was the point of
To give-
mentioning me in the thread for
to
something
give-
that she did?
To give context of who she is. People don't know who she is.
And right here is where the Tippy tunnel vision kicks in again. He can't answer the DJ Screwdriver's counter, so what does he do?
Okay, bro. Yeah, I guess so. That's why you got blocked, because this doesn't have anything to do with me, and you really want to make it about me. Enjoy your little 15 seconds of fame, you loser.
No one has ever been this mad about being mentioned, but I guess when it's the people you're sucking up to like Nick and Boblax, the outrage isn't there. By this time, it was clear that Tipster hadn't learned. He was still a idiot, and everyone knew it. I mean, even though we've been covering smaller situations he was involved in and completely losing, Tipster's reputation in the bigger spaces wasn't much better, as he was being dragged by commentary trolls like Salvo Pancakes.
You act like 35-year-old me has to address some teenager as if like, oh my god, I have to respond to every single person who ever criticizes me on the internet.
Salvo and later Keemstar would constantly troll and meme on Tipster and his wife, and Tipster really just kinda took it laying down. And whilst most of these clips are lost to time, what is still about is clips where other YouTubers are angry at Tipster for not sticking up for his wife.
Like, I love you, Tipster, but I have to say this, man. If Gareth had done what you did by like backpedaling like that, I would have lost my shit. You know what I mean? And I love you. Like, I absolutely adore you. I think you're such an awesome dude. But that is the one place I feel like, Salva kind of got you there, because I would have lost it, like, if you were my partner. I'm just going to be honest.
Tipster would respond by upping his talk game, by which I mean he begged Salvo to stop and offered him $175 for peace.
How you doing, buddy?
How are you doing? Do you have hurt feelings over something that I said?
A little bit, but I think if, we make a solid negotiation here, I think I'm willing to put that aside. Okay, I'm willing to forgive you for what happened before.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
I'm willing
easily.
to give you a handsome donation.
So, when you mean we're going to be all good, what do you mean by that? Define that. How are we going to be all good? What are you going to do for me?
The past is the past. We'll let bygones be bygones, and it's over, dude. This is what I'm offering. I'm willing to negotiate on the monetary side, okay? But, like, I'm offering you to make peace with you, okay? We'll make peace, and I will give you a monetary donation. My initial offer is $100. Now, you can negotiate on the money side. What's the dollar figure? What you looking at?
$500.
I won't do $500. I will do... Let's do 150. 160.
Tipster, we ain't getting nowhere. Because you realize, you realize, Tipster, I have dogs barking at their
$175.
Tipster, listen.
You'd think this would be Tipster's lowest point ever, losing to Spurgs, picking up on mentally ill people, literally auctioning his pride. None of these were the final blow in any regard, they just added onto the bandwagon of people who disliked him. And it would be the next situation at the start of 2023 that completely destroyed Tipster's reputation in the community. So tune in next week for part 2 of the Tipster Chronicles, from Tippy's exodus from commentary to the state he's in today.